Hello and welcome my crafty friends. I'm Smita Katti. I blog at smilingcolors.com, but many of you may know me as the Shiny Nest on Instagram. I love exploring and trying out new watercolor techniques, and today I'm trying out how to watercolor by dropping in color. In this video, I'll be showing you 2 lettering projects using different products that give completely different results. I'll also share a simpler flower project at the end of this video. This one is much easier and creates the softest looking watercolor flowers and leaves. So let's dive in and get started. For this technique, I used watercolor cakes and a water brush or an aqua brush. You can try this with any watercolor palette you have at home, even your kids' art supplies. The brush though needs to be a good one. I'm using the water brush that was included along with these watercolors I'm using. These are the Koi watercolors by Sakura, by the way. On my blog, I will recommend a few other paint brushes that I like to letter with. For this technique, you start by literally lettering using water. That's right, just water. I'm going to letter my word alphabet by alphabet, and then I'm adding water to my colors and dropping the watery colors onto my alphabet. I used 3 or 4 colors here, a couple of reds, an orange, and a yellow. I think the yellow helped add a great pop of contrast. Since you have lettered the alphabet shapes in water first, the colors that you drop will spread along only those letters. If you add too little water, I find that the colors don't move freely. If you add too much water, the water and eventually the color will end up pooling at one certain point. So you can use a brush to move the colors a bit and blend them or push them to where you want. But I found out that trying to control the color flow isn't really necessary. The colors blend and dry in their own time, and they always end up looking naturally good. Even though I'm using a water brush, I often dip my brush into a bowl of water instead of squeezing it, just so that I have a greater control on the water that I'm applying to the paper. So in this example, I used a mixed media sketchbook. This one was a medium weight Strathmore one. But I felt that this technique needed a bit more of a heavier paper to really enjoy the wateriness. So with that, let's put the sketchbook aside to dry. I will show you how it looks at the end of the video, and meanwhile, let's dive into technique number 2. This one turned out to be a favorite of mine. This time I've actually used a sturdier paper, and I'm using a Tombow dual brush pen. Just one pen. This is a great maroony pinkish red. I'm scribbling some of the marker color onto a blending palette. If you don't have this palette, any kind of plastic slick surface will work. And I'm going to try dropping in just one color this time. In the previous example, I felt there were just too many colors trying to coexist happily, so this time I just simplified. I'm not using clean water this time. My water is already a bit murky from the first watercoloring, and I felt that this would be much easier for you to see on the camera. So I started the same way. I lettered in the alphabet using just water, and then I picked up some color and dropped it in. Since these dual brush pens have a water-based pigment in them, they react beautifully in such techniques. How cute is this looking already? By dropping in just one color this time, I'm getting more tones and hues of that color as it blends and settles into the water. As I move forward with my word, I do go back and add more colors if I feel there's a blank spot, but all in all, I just let it settle the way it wants to. As long as you can see the water pooled on the paper, you can keep adding color to it. When you join your letters as you go forward, you will see the water and color blend and move beautifully. This is such a fun technique to just watch come alive. I highly urge you to try it once at least. This technique though is really popular with the liquid concentrated watercolors, like the P.H. Martin ones. You can alternately try this with just a basic ink bottle. Or here's another idea, liquid food coloring. How fun would that be? Okay, now while our second attempt dries, I'm going to quickly try to paint some flowers using the color dropping method. This time again I'm using a heavy watercolor paper. I will link to all the supplies I've used on my blog post, and I'll let you know where you can easily find them as well. I pulled out all of my Tombows to choose from today. 96 colors of pure joy. This time I also have a paper towel on hand, and I'll let you know why in a moment. As like before, I start to paint with water. This time, instead of alphabets, I'm painting petals of a flower here. You can't really see it, but the water is there. I'm creating a color palette of sorts by scribbling a few of my colors onto my blending palette, and then I'm picking up the color onto my brush with some water, starting with my lightest color. I drop in the lightest color towards the outer edges of the petals, then I add the next color to the middle of the petals, and the darkest colors to the center of the flower. This is basically known as the wet on wet technique. You wet the paper and then you add wet paint to it. This allows the wet paint to spread and blend in a slightly controlled manner. Now right here is an area where the water started to pool too much. I'm just using the tip of a paper towel by placing it over the water. Now let me show you another flower. First I need to create another color palette for this next flower, but remember never to bring your Tombows directly into a watery surface. I always wipe my palette clean and remove any trace of water before scribbling more color onto it. This way you won't ruin your Tombow markers. For this flower, I moved my camera a bit so you can have a closer look at this technique. I'm following the exact same steps. Paint the petals with water and then drop in the colors. Add the lightest colors towards the outer edge of the petals and the darker colors towards the center. The colors will blend and create a soft, flowery look and feel. Now I'm going to paint a few leaves quickly, making sure that the leaves don't touch the wet flowers. I'm just going to scatter the leaves around the outside. I'm speeding up the video here just so that you can see how it comes together, but really I'm repeating the same few steps as before. I will also leave the exact color numbers of the Tombow markers I used in this example in case you want to recreate this yourself. Make sure you stop by my blog for that. Here's a closer look at how this looks while the paint is still wet. I went back and added a few more darker colors to the center of the flower, but really I love how this looked and I just put it to the side to dry naturally. Now let's take a look at how all of these pieces dried. Here's the first one, the word happy with the Sakura koi watercolors. The colors all blended as they dried, but you can clearly see these tiny minuscule dots of color pigment. They just simply dried onto the paper. They kind of look like salt. It does have a tie-dye look to it, I guess, but this definitely wasn't the result I had in mind. What do you guys think? Was this a hit or a miss? Here's how the second one dried. This one was using the Tombow dual brush pen, and this one looks so pretty. There are areas of light color, darker areas where the color pooled, and honestly I'm in love with how this looks. This was easy to create and adds such a simple wow factor when done. I will definitely be making more of these in the future. Here's how the flowers dried. The smaller flower dried beautifully, but the larger flower is just okay according to me. This just shows how it's important to have a uniform layer of water on the paper. If there's too much water in one area, the color gets washed out rather than blend. If there's too little water on the paper, the colors just sit and won't move or blend. You just need to find the right balance in between. I really felt that these flowers needed just a little bit more color, and I fiddled with it a bit more, and this is what I ended up with. The center's got a darker shade that contrasts nicely and brings a new depth to the flower. So I just used whatever watercolors I had on hand today, and I will list and link all of the art supplies used in today's video in the YouTube description box below this video, and also over at my blog smilingcolors.com. Please hit the subscribe button to my YouTube channel for more fun art and lettering videos, and let me know in the comments below if you're inspired to give this technique a try. And definitely please share a photo with me on social media if you create something from this tutorial. Tag me the shininess because I love seeing your art. I hope you have a great day and happy crafting!